Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Okay, today I'm going to be doing my August haul, and it's a bit of a big one because, well, because I wasn't always in North Dakota. I was in cities with Barnes & Nobles, and when I go to Barnes & Noble I get a little bit crazy. So there's some nice piles sitting next to me that we're going to go into. That said, let's get started, shall we? So, first of all, we have this massive chunk of a book, which is Alan Turing, The Enigma. It's the book that inspired The Imitation Game, and I saw the movie, I liked the movie, I love Benedict Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley, and I don't know much about World War II history. I know enough, I'm more focused on the Pacific side of things, so this ought to be really interesting. The next book is a classic. I read it in high school. It is The Red Badge of Courage by Stephen Crane. To be honest, I thought this book was a little boring, but I like owning classics because they're classics. And it was $5. How can I say no? The next book is one by an author that I have not read, but I really like his covers and his descriptions. It is Los Herederos de la Tierra. I'm sorry for my pronunciation. I know it's bad. By Ildefonso Falcones, and yeah, it's Barcelona in 1387. Again, I don't know much about that, but I'm excited. The fourth and fifth books are the second and third books to a series, the Fallen Kingdoms series. I bought the first one because I accidentally bought the fourth one before I realized it was the fourth book, and then I saw some people talking about it, namely Reagan over at Peru's Project, and she loved the first one, Fallen Kingdoms, so I read it, really high expectations. I was actually disappointed by that book, but I have the fourth one, so I had to go out and finish the series, or at least get up to the fourth one. And that's why I have Rebel Spring by Morgan Rhodes, and also Gathering Darkness by her, so that I can get up to the fourth one, and I'm really hoping that they get better as they go. The next two are also part of a series. I, again, bought the fourth one. There's something about the number 4, apparently, before I realized that it was the fourth one, and at this time I was also in South Africa. I bought the fourth one last summer, and got back to the States before I realized it was the fourth book, so I had to go buy the first one, and then it actually turned out to be decent. So I bought the second and third, and read the fourth, and then there turns out there are 2 more books. So I have the fifth and the sixth, and they are The Land of Stories, An Author's Odyssey by Chris Colfer, and The Land of Story, Worlds Collide. I don't necessarily like him as an actor. I was a little bit incredibly trepidatious about him as an author, but it turns out that they're actually really good. They're retellings of fairy tales. Basically, there's an alternate universe, which is the fairy tale world, and these kids are tied into it, and yeah, it's really interesting, really good, probably late middle grade, early high school level, but yeah, there's those. And just to keep on track with the series, about a year ago I found a book that was published in 1945 about Elizabeth I, who is my absolute passion, and I didn't realize it was a trilogy until this year. So I went and I found the other 2 books in the trilogy, which are Elizabeth, Captive Princess, and Elizabeth and the Prince of Spain. The entire trilogy is by Margaret Irwin, and these were both published in the 1940s. I believe it's 1948 and 1952. But this one was actually, this exact copy was published in the late 1960s. So there's also these 2 because I had to finish a trilogy. And then, just to stick with the Elizabethan theme, so I'm reading The Last Armada by Des Esquin, and it is about the 100-day Spanish invasion in 1601. I know virtually nothing about this because I know about the 1588 invasion, or attempted invasion rather. Spain is always attempting to invade England in these days, but I'm excited. And then we'll just keep going with that. I bought Game of Queens by Sarah Gristwood. This one is basically just 1500s women, obviously including Elizabeth I, so I couldn't really refuse. Then, we actually do move away from Elizabethan, however we do stick with the series thing. I have a lot of series ongoing right now, but these ones are by Naomi Novik, who wrote the Temeraire series, and I had to finish the series. It's been a while since I've read them, and I have one of them up somewhere on these shelves. so that I can finish the series, but then I bought Blood of Tyrants so that I could actually get to closer to the end of the series. And then I bought League of Dragons, which is, I believe, the last one. It is. Look at that, the final Temeraire novel. So I can finally finish this series, which is, I think, 10 or 11 books long, and actually surprisingly amazing. So I'm super excited about these as well. Then I have a cousin who absolutely loves Brandon Sanderson. Also, Reagan over at Peru's Project absolutely loves him. So I figured, why not? I bought Mistborn a while ago, haven't read it yet, and my cousin recommended The Reckoners. So I bought Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. I'm excited to read this. I have no idea what it's about. Then, just to completely throw you all off, I decided that I was going to buy a book based on a movie I had seen, because when I saw the movie and enjoyed it, I didn't realize it was a book. But that is Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. Like I said, saw the movie, loved it, figured I should probably read the book, even if I am doing it backwards. So I bought it, and now I'm gonna read it, eventually. But then I'm just gonna go right back to the 1500s with Elizabeth, The Later Years by John Guy. I don't have to tell you why I'm reading this. It's Elizabeth, enough said. And while this last book is also about a woman named Elizabeth, it's about a bit more recent woman named Elizabeth, and this one is called Elizabeth the Queen. They're very creative with their titles, obviously. This one is by Sally Bedell Smith. I recently read a biography of Elizabeth II, but that one was published in '96, so it only got through the divorce between Diana and Charles, and there's been, 20 years since 1996-97, and a lot has happened since then. We've had, I believe it was her Diamond Jubilee in 2012, Diana died, Charles remarried, we've had Kate and William get married, the kids, that whole thing. A lot in 20 years. This one was published in 2012, so we are still missing a couple years, but I can live with those 5 because I remember those 5. So I am very excited to read this and find out sort of what the take is of a biographer on those years between 96 and 2012. That is my rather large August haul, but I hope you all enjoyed it, and as soon as I actually get into reading my books, I will let you know how I feel about them. But until then, bye!